on teaching people how to defend themselves. And that's just a minuscule portion of the good that you can do in a community, like just saving yourself, saving an innocent, versus knowing how to save a life. We've had 6.
Question, I feel once you use one of these tourniquets for real, don't use it again. So if you buy one, you don't buy one of the cheap plastic ones to practice with. But don't do that because they do stretch out. You keep doing that weightless and everything, it stretches out and it'll come into effect when you really need to use it. So have training ones, market is a training one, have ones that are for real. Sorry.
So we've trained close to 20,000 people for firearm self-defense classes. We've had almost 60 students in gunshot. I get that many calls a year, and 85% of our students are fighting pistol alumni. 1% of our students are medical alumni. So that's the difference in how much more good you can do by knowing how to save a life. It makes you a more useful human in general. And it's my passion. I love it. No glove, no love. Every stranger you come into contact with has some kind of physique that you don't want to take home to your kids. And so if you are not actively swapping bodily fluids with people on a regular basis, put gloves on before you do medicine. You should carry gloves and a tourniquet every day, everywhere you go, so that you don't start trading nasty infections that get washed off with bondage.
iPro too.
Yeah, iPro, the mask, anything to, like, in those finger bags, I have all of this other stuff. So iPro to keep fluids from getting in your eyes, because any wet spot on your body is going to be a place that you can get infected through. So your eyes, inside your mucous membrane, nose, your fingertips usually get a lot of cuticle tears and stuff. That's why we wear gloves. And a down and dirty trick that I used at the jail when officers would get into fights on the inmates in or on the pod, if they don't have gloves on when this happens, so I take alcohol, like the hand sanitizer, run it from here down to here to know whether or not we needed to send them to the ER for prophylaxis. If it burns, then they have an open wound and the blood could have entered their system. If it doesn't burn, then they don't have to go get put on an HIV medication for 30 days. So they like that. Mindset above all else. You have to make the decision before something happens on whether or not you're going to get involved in health. So make your peace now. We talk about having living wills, all of your ducks in a row, so that you can go into these situations, whether or not it's bad guys or car accidents, and be willing to help. And when you have a clear conscience and all your ducks in a row, like, it's a lot easier to make those calls. The order of medicine: self-aid, buddy aid, Medicaid, then the hospital. So all of this stuff that I have is for me and my family. I will use it on other people if they happen to get hurt before us, but everything I carry is for me and my kids. So people see stuff in there like, oh, you're only a nurse. And I'm like, yeah, somebody else has to know how to use it. Or I might be willing to take that risk to save my kid. So don't limit yourself to only learning what you think, like, you're not going to get in trouble for. Like, outside the marriage stuff, like, I'm not putting myself in that box. I want to know this stuff for me and my kid. And the entire thing that we're working towards here is to keep the air moving in and out and the blood moving round and round. And if there's any interruption to that system, that's when we're going to start having problems. So this is just a quick and easy way to keep everything in order, and it's going to go in order of what's going to kill you the fastest. And we use an acronym, the 5 B's. And the 5 B's. The first B is bad guy. And I'm used to teaching this class to a lot of people who are used to carrying or being around guns, so we put it in that sense. But the bad guy is whatever is causing you damage. if you've just been in a car accident and you're still in the middle of the interstate, the bad guy are the other car. So paramedics are going to see safe. If the person's being safe, CPR, that's the first thing they want you to do is make sure that it is safe for you to proceed. So I tell people, aimed, accurate, deadly fire is medical treatment. Like if somebody's leg, they fall and their leg is stuck in a fire, you're gonna pull their leg out of the fire. So if somebody is shooting or hurting me, stopping them is medical treatment. So carry on and get training with it. The next being bleeding. And we talked about the big arterial bleed. That is going to kill you faster than any, other than the bad guy. That's going to kill you the fastest next. 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes before you start to lose consciousness and bleed out. And how fast can you put that tourniquet on? So it takes up to, you can bleed out in 1.5 minutes, but where do you lose consciousness? So you need to be able to get that tourniquet out and on yourself so that you're awake long enough to take care of everybody. And then some other bleeds, since everybody feels comfortable with the tourniquets and arterial bleeds and everything like that, right? I don't want to keep going over the same stuff. Some other bleeds that still require something to be done right then. If somebody is cut or stabbed or opened up in the neck, then you can use an H bandage and wrap it under their arm. So you're still putting other than a handful of tourniquets, like this is all of my actual stuff that we have to use. So anything next to belly button is a seal. And that's so we don't fall into the position even though that you talked about earlier. So you're putting a seal so air can't be sucked into that. So if she's got one going on this side of the neck, cover it up. I'm going to ask her to hold it. Okay. And then kids, because you can't put tourniquet on the head. Talking about that. I have people try a lot in class, but you can't. Air moving in and out, blows it around and around, that interferes. So when she brings her hand down, it puts more pressure on the So the place that you can't put a tourniquet, but you can still, like if you don't have a tourniquet, deep packing direct pressure. Well, if you're packing in the cavity, it's going to take endless gauze. So that's why we pack muscles and seal cavities. So we're skipping the packing because it's in a cavity area. So the seal and then pressure. And that's all a tourniquet really is putting direct pressure on your artery so that blood doesn't go. It's a piece of plastic. Like anything that's not going to let air through. Another thing that works is chest needles, gauze with vaccine on it, anything that's not going to let air in there.
So you don't have a chest needle, tegaderm, something like that. Tape, duct tape. Duct tape works great.
Potatoes are bad.
Expired
Yes, those are incredible. And you can get them for free at your local place a lot, like your local paramedic station, because they're not allowed to keep it on the truck. And every medical piece of equipment that you're using commercially has to have an expiration date, even if it's not going to go bad. So go in there and use those. I know Gary, one of my other instructors that teaches with me, he goes and his wife, when she was working in the hospital, she goes like offer to go through the supply closet so that she could bring all that stuff home.
We use that expiration.
Yep.
You think this is going to expire? It's not.
It has to, like for the FDA. Yeah. The next weird kind of bleed is amputation, because they don't always start bleeding immediately, especially if it comes from a traumatic place. So if somebody gets their arm cut off in a machine and it's a clean cut, it might not do anything for them. Because when our arteries and veins are talking about like they're little kids, they get scared, so they retract, pull up, get really tight, and then when they think it's safe to come out and they relax, that's when the bleeding starts, and it is an arterial bleed. So if there's an amputation, tourniquet first. And then penetrating wounds. If you have a penetrating wound, you're going to leave it in place. And it's because the thing that did the damage is actually also keeping all of the little bitty blood vessels compressed so that it doesn't bleed as fast. Yep, you're plugging a hole. And you leave it in place unless it's interfering with an airway. And if they get anything up in the airway where it's interfering, they need to get to a higher level of care pretty quickly, because if they've got airway issues and bleeding issues, they're not doing much. So they would be at the top of your priority list, get them to a higher level. The next thing, breathing. So we're going to look, listen, and feel. We talked about the tension pneumothorax that can happen. Any kind of chest wound, if there's an opening, you're putting a seal on it. Because we want to keep the air from the outside from getting inside. Just because there's not a hole doesn't mean they will develop this issue. So if somebody gets hit with the steering column, they get into an accident, the airbags are deployed, and they get hit with the steering column, and it breaks their rib. And this actually happened when I was working at the jail. They brought a Hispanic man in, did not speak any English. He was intoxicated, and he was in a car accident, unrestrained, no airbags. They're supposed to call nursing, and they did not. So I happened to be walking by, and I see this older guy, especially the Hispanic culture, they are a macho, they're machismo there. He was not complaining. But I was like, I see him, he's going kind of back and forth. It's kind of like red flag. Let's go check on that guy. And I go up there, and the cop starts arguing with me. He got cleared at the scene. I was like, where's the paperwork? Well, I don't have him to move out of my way. He's not clear to come into my jail. So I get a translator up there, unbutton the guy's shirt, and he had flail check. The only time in my life that I've ever seen it for real. So what happened was when the steering wheel hit him, it broke his ribs, and every time he took a breath, his ribs is this right here. And they opened all the way out on the bottom right side. And so I called 911 because I'm like, this is bad. I only see about this on TV like this. And so I called 911. They tried to argue with me about whether or not he needs an ambulance. If he's walking, he's talking, he's not complaining. And I was like, I don't even know what he's doing. That's bad. He needs to be there now. So as soon as he gets to the hospital, they walk in, tell them what I told them. Like, hey, he's got flat strap, pull his shirt open. Oh shit! Helicopter him out and fly him to Memphis. Memphis is really good at dealing with traumatic injury. They got a lot of activity. So if you get into like a bad way, Memphis Hospital is great. Their triage nurses have to wear body armor in the ambulance. Yeah. So when he got there, he had a punctured lung. Okay. I didn't do anything about it at the jail. There was nothing to steal. He was still breathing from, so we sent him. He got a chest tube, and then it caused a liver laceration. So he was bleeding out internally. So knowing mechanism of injury, I knew what to look for. Anybody else, like if I hadn't been walking by, he'd been put in a holding cell, and he got bled out internally. Like my captain called me up and actually saved me and gave me a gift card for saving them the walk. So it was really good, but yeah, no, it was a $5 gift card.
Two lawyers work for $10.
It's not rocket science. Are they talking to you? Can they talk to you in a full sentence? Guess what? They're breathing fine. If they've got to stop after a couple words, the difficulty breathing. Can't talk and they're blue, they're not breathing.
So knowing mechanism of injury really impacts how you're going to look at it. It's really important to know. And it's really easy because a bleed is a bleed. How do we fix a bleed? Like an arterial bleed, how do we fix it? So how do we fix an airway? It's blocked. We unblock it. Like it doesn't really matter how it got there, we know how to fix it. But knowing what happened shows you what you need to look for, what needs to come. If they do, we're talking about on that.
I will. Real quick, I want to sum up page that says every single patient in the world has 3 categories that what the patient's status is. All right? There's bullshit, no shit, oh shit. No matter what's wrong with them, they're going to fall one of those 3 categories. The oh shit we got to worry about. The no shit could be bad. The bullshit is just out.
So if somebody isn't breathing and they're on their back, their tongue can easily fall and block. You can also, if there was a car accident and any facial trauma, they may not have an open. So you may have to, I don't know if you guys have seen the picture of the guy who thought he was going to shoot and hold a firework piece now. And then it went off and it split his face open. So it completely split open. But the picture that you see is of him in the shock position that I mentioned earlier, so that the blood's draining. And there's this hole behind his face because his skin is not there anymore. And that's his nose hole. So that's how he's transferred it. What do we do for that guy? We leave him in the tripod position. He's breathing. And we get him to a higher level of care.
He's a no shit patient. Hey, people have smarter.
Right. So I'm just going to go over some things that you can do for a blocked airway when it's not something traumatic like that, and then we can talk on if it is more traumatic. The first couple of things, if you're not worried about a spinal injury and you've only got one person, 2 hands, and nothing else to do, you can do it on a head tilt, tilt your head back, and a chin lift. You can grab your chin and lift forward. You can do it yourself. Feel like you can just go and out. It pulls your tongue forward. Okay? If you're worried about your spine, you're saying a car accident, and you're trying to get in there, and you can't move them yet, but you need their airway open. Okay? You feel those little notches at the back of your jaw on either side. And we're just going to push forward. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but if it's just that jaw forward and it doesn't move, there's spine at all. So if you can hold it and wait for EMS to arrive, it's the least invasive way to maintain an airway. If you can't, then we move on to the other stuff. The nasopharyngeal airway or an NPA, and have some here. Child size if anybody wants to volunteer, I can and then a thing that a lot of people don't think about. You sell them in all of the med kits that we sell, the pocket box and the full kind of box. Because if you've got a couple different people, you can safely pin their on their lid. I've had both here. First off, it ain't that painful. As long as you go through the middle and you don't hit one of those like blood vessels, you're your mouth heals almost as fast as your eyes. So in 2 or 3 days, they're going to be fine. You want to take your food yet? Okay. Cool. So, try that
Whoa. He NPA'd me about 2 months ago.
Like, if it's something that I'm going to do on a complete night, I don't know,
Can't see. I'm not busy. I can't see.
I'm not worried about causing temporary pain or discomfort to stay in their life. And that's, I feel like that's one of the reasons a lot of people don't want to take medical classes, because it causes you to look internally and face your own fear, pain, and death. And because we're talking about, oh, this is what happens when I'm not the Don Juan gunslinger that wins everything. Like, this is stuff that nobody wants to think about. Having to think about your kid and kid being in the back seat in the car. And it's why I'm so passionate about that generally, because I'm a helper. Like, I was put on this earth to help people heal off. And that is the only time that I feel like my purpose is fulfilled, the only time that I feel happy. Well, I'm way into this stuff. And there's a saying in medicine, do no harm. But it's actually do no harm, N-O, and then do no harm. So we may have to, like, with the tourniquet that ankle, and so we're causing somebody pain, was it harmful? No. So knowing the difference is what allows you to make decisions whether or not you're acting in good faith. Like, knowing the difference between pain and harm.
I'm going to tell you right now, you are becoming your first responder. It's not the end of the world. It's happening now. Hospitals are short staffed. People in EMS are leaving in droves. They're leaving everywhere. They're shutting ambulances down. They're everywhere every day.
We are talking stuff like I got lost my job over the vaccine. We're talking about like
You better learn something. Don't wait longer. Get no one come.
And then again, if you're not worried about spinal injury, like, and this can work even if somebody drinks a little too much, if they're 1.5 fever, they don't feel good. The recovery position that you were talking about earlier, and I like, there's a size difference tonight, but I can show you a way. It doesn't matter how much of a discrepancy there is. So I'm gonna roll in the bathtub. Okay, if he's completely unconscious, the first thing I'm gonna do is bring his arm up above his head to protect his head when I roll him over. Okay, and then I'm gonna get his arm right here, go beside him, and start. Grab his clothes, just a little bit at a time. Use my knee, push forward. When I get his arm protect his head in the concrete, I'm gonna take this arm, line his palm out, this leg, right here, hook it. That's going to keep anything, vomit, or anything like that coming out, blood, keep it coming out. I'm going to check the back side.
You never worry. You put his face down in there, what's going to speak for you? Feel like I'm something, right? Panic, what happens? Pulse rate goes up, blood pressure goes up. No longer they're working against themselves to get back for the body itself. So you think of all these things, you want to keep the person calm. Right? That pulse rate lowers, that blood pressure lowers, things work better.
And then if they do have something more traumatic, or they're unconscious in a car, and you've got 4 victims, there's 2 people in the front, 2 people in the back, and you can't keep your hands on them, you would go to the NPA. My nephew has graciously offered to let us do one. Got some blood going to protect if he started bleeding, and keep him from getting the germs that are online. So, when opening, well, somebody got some paper towels before we actually started this.
I'll get some. I got it. I'll get it. Okay.
Octane, drainage, and hydrant. So a couple of ways. When you're going to open these, I got this actually made self plastic, rip it apart, so that I've got this in my hand, I don't keep it. Children, over your ears. I talk about treat it like a Friday night. Hard bag, blunt. Education hurts with this, so you just want to get in there and get it done. So, take, and you can either put it on the plastic or just run it along either side. You want most of your lube to be at the tip of it because their nose is going to push it back to the rest. The bezel is going to go towards the middle of their nose. So the cup part is going to touch the inside of their nose. This was made to go in the right side, but if I need to go in the left side, which is where this is easier to get it in, then you just clip them up. So we'll go like this right here. Okay, so we start going in like this. Aiming straight down at the floor behind them. And then when you start to feel it split, go back, you can spin it the rest of the way around. This gagging, that means spin it. Close your mouth.
You do that with the gag. People start having that gag reflex. But guess what? Their airways protected. Okay.
Yeah, so it's working. This one with the rigid MPAs like this, where they get compressed, I rotate mine out because when they start, that one's difficult to flip just because it's been smashed until it's flat and it's not doing really what I want it to do. So I trade those out when they start to look like that. But I'm gonna.
Remember when she's talking about opening stuff, and I talked to you about earlier, say do stuff real hard in your hand. Tank tabs like I'm talking about. Just longer hair handle. They give you a purchase point instead of trying to flip off the flight. Right?
Someone want to touch out with them. It's got a lot of water.
That doesn't bother me. I like to be.
There's no. When you put that in.
Oh.
So that deals with the water. What's the other thing that we talked about with your air? What has to be able to move?
Get some medical training.
So we talked sealing it, putting the plastic on it so that nothing else gets drawn in, and then putting it in talk about circulation. If you don't do something about it right then, that person will die. We had a guy at the jail. He had some issues. That still couldn't breathe, couldn't breath. I pulled him up there.